All right, to other matters now. We see Nigeria, with its abundant sunshine, presents a significant opportunity for solar energy adoption. Right now, we're going to explore the current trends shaping Nigeria's solar energy industry, examining factors driving its growth and analyze the impact of innovative business models and government initiatives on its widespread adoption. Joining us for this conversation now, we have Mr. Ernest Akinola, the Managing Director of Bbox Nigeria, joining me right here in the studio. It's great to have you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, so quite a lot happening, at this time. 2024 has been quite the year. We had PMS prices reach levels we've not seen before. Yep. We've seen Band A users struggling under heavy tariffs, and I remember there was a time, people would run their generators all night, if there was no power supply, but things have changed. Talk to me about the trends in the solar industry so far.
A lot. I mean, I think you talk about the trends that's happening. I mean, I've been in this business now for about 4 years, and I remember what it was like when we came in, when we launched Bbox in 2020. And, it was rather nascent and nobody really, the business was there, but it wasn't really exploding. But the PMS has been the challenges. So there's been a pull and a push, right? So the PMS has been very much, the PMS price is petrol. For those that don't know, the PMS, petrol prices have gone up over 300%, right? That's then created a pull for alternative energy sources. So solar has always been there as a solution, but then that's been a catalyst for people who wanted to find out. And then on the push side, there's been a lot more developers in the market, such as Bbox, and there's many others, pushing the narrative, understanding that there's a whole ecosystem here. And this is one of the earliest industries. It's almost like, almost as untapped as insurance, right? Very low penetration. So there's a lot of space to cover in this industry.
Right, and I can imagine you did say solar has been around for the longest time. But I remember there was a time, a whole package, I was pitched about 400,000 naira to get panels, to get the inverter, and all of that.
Yes.
But that is not the case right now. It's so expensive.
Okay.
Getting it. So at the end of the day, it's supposed to be the alternative, but it's getting that first installation and all of that.
You need to look when you talk about solar renewable energy. Right. There's different segments of the market, right? So if you're looking at more productive use or in larger homes, so where you buy the KVA, like the solar inverters, right? Yes, they're more expensive, of course. They're actually more expensive than 400,000. But the payback,
no, I'm saying before.
Yeah, before.
Before that time, the naira was like maybe trading about 300.
Yeah, exactly.
To the dollar then.
Yeah, exactly. But despite that, what you have to do is you have to do a comparative to if you're running your gen all night, right? So the payback is quicker on solar, and actually the offset is still better on the long term on solar, plus the environmental benefits, the lack of noise, so when you balance the two out, despite the increase in prices, it's still more effective going solar, and everybody's going through solar. I was talking to an architect who's got large development in Ikoyi, and he told me that he has gen, NEPA, his solar inverter, he's got many, many panels, and he said he's forgotten how to switch on his gen because he uses his solar. So, I mean, that's just the impact it's having. And there's other segments as well. There's the rural segment, which we are very strong in, but we're moving into other commercial industry, productive use for MSMEs. It's very, very big, very, very important for driving our economy.
Right, and talking about, adoption, at the end of the day, when you have 133 million multidimensionally poor, talk to me about adoption with low-income earners.
Yeah, so, when you're talking about that part of the segment, you find that a lot of developers such as Bbox are focusing on the rural sectors. I mean, I always tell my friends and colleagues that all of us that live in Lagos, that we know each other, we're not really Nigerians. We're not the real Nigeria. If you want to go to the real Nigeria, go to Offa, go to Bomosho, go to the deep parts of Nigeria. And so what you're finding there is that we have agents that go into the markets. We sell to people selling pepper, tomatoes, artisans, and they're much more knowledgeable about it now. They will discuss with you about, is that a lithium battery or is it lead acid? We don't want lead acid. They understand. They can converse with us. They're knowledgeable. They've done their research. They bring out their calculators. They calculate whether they're going to pay over 6 months, 12 months, or upfront, because we offer those sorts of pay-as-you-go. So all of this is driving more awareness and adoption.
Right.
And of course, one of the big factors is somebody sets up a TV. So we sell packages, right? So we sell the inverter, the panels, as well as the appliances. So there's an element of social mobility, so TVs or fans. So somebody then says, oh, wow, you've got this in your home. It then becomes an automatic referral engine for others. So there's a real wave behind this.
Right. All right, talk to me about, technology now, how much it's playing, in this industry. I was watching a documentary a couple of days ago, and some scientists have found a way to use diamonds to make batteries. And I'm like, oh, that's quite interesting. But, if they're using diamonds to make batteries, that means, and we know what they say about diamonds. Diamonds are forever. That means these batteries. So talk to me about technological advancements.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know about the diamond side, but I know that there's something about, there's a narrative being pushed around magnets. So these opposite magnets are having it, and then it creates energy, but that's a different slide. But in terms of how technology is driving adoption in Nigeria, we look at it from a point of view of customer enablement. How do we make it easier for customers to adopt solar and to pay for their solar in a seamless way? So, for instance, at B-Box, we've developed with some banks seamless virtual wallets so that a customer who might not be on our bank can make payments from their bank or from their phone directly to their account, right? So that's one key thing for them. The other one is, and so technology enables that. In the early days, agents had to go and collect money from the customers. And there's all sorts of issues that come with agents collecting money, right? So there's that dimension. There's also the dimension of when you buy something and you're using your solar, you have to make your payment. You're given a certain amount of what we call light-in time, right? Because you're on pay-go. If you don't pay, you then get switched off. So customers like to know, when is my balance dropping? So that balance check, that notification, again, it's low-level technology, but it's very important. Not everybody has AI. If you talk about the 130 million population, they don't know about AI. They don't know about all these apps, right? So you have to dimension your technology to your segment, right? So that's enabling it. And then finally, you have our agents who have the apps. They have our agent apps, and that enables them to understand when they need to intervene with customers. So the combination of all of that, I mean, there's no silver bullet here, but the combination effect is driving increased adoption, because nobody wants to buy something and be hassled having to pay for it. They want it to be seamless.
Right. Yeah. And, these days, we've seen people, try to, find ways to handle, high tariffs and all of that.
Yeah.
Bypassing, which is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
We know that's a big. So I believe solar is, helping, with that. But talk to me about investments now in this sector.
Yeah.
How would you describe investments in, say, 2024? Do we see more investors, piling cash into the industry?
Yeah. Okay. So 2024, 2023, 24. has been a very challenging year. We've had the FX challenge. I saw you just mentioned about if only it was 1,000, only it was 1,300. Yeah, comeback. Yeah, but so that's been a challenge. So, but for our industry, one of the key catalysts, if you like, is subsidy funding from like the World Bank and the Rural Electrification Agency, and their impact has been mammoth. I mean, it's been seismic in terms of helping. The industry would have existed, it would have been growing at a very slow, unpredictable pace, but they've been a real catalyst for that. So because of that, we're seeing a lot of interest in investing in Nigeria in the solar and renewable energy space. Now, there's different segments. You've got solar home systems, which is the rural community that I mentioned. You have productive use, I mentioned before about MSMEs. Then you also have C&I, commerce and industry. So you've got large, we know petrol stations are getting their forecourts covered in solar panels, right? So there's a lot of commercial investment, factories that are converting to solar, they can never go 100% solar, but it's all about offset, right? So there are growing opportunities, and there are grants available for each of those segments. That's encouraging more investment in Nigeria.
And, looking at most of these panels, most of these items are imported. And we've seen the impact on, volatility with the currency, how that drives up, the prices of most of it. So what are we seeing when it comes to manufacturing here?
Okay,
panels and all of that.
This is a very, very good point. And we talk about it a lot, me and my colleagues and other CEOs, and we talk about manufacturing, even on RIAN, the Rural Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, which we're a part of, encourage manufacturing. So there are elements of manufacturing in Nigeria, mainly around the accessories and the panels. Right, so the panels are probably the key thing. I mean, I'm very glad that you're showing that on the screen here. The panels are the eye of the sun. It's what brings in the sun. And, importing them is very expensive, right? We have to pay high duties. We've lobbied to get lower taxes on those and lower duties on them. But the way around that is and that's happening in Nigeria. It's nascent. There are certain companies that are focusing on that. We've already started having those conversations with them. But the key thing to identify is the units are very high spec, and the panels have to be properly dimensioned to the units. So if something's a 480 watt panel, it must be that, right? So we're getting there, and I think that's going to be a real accelerant to accepting solar.
All right, so going into 2025, what are you seeing for this industry?
Oh, well, I'm extremely excited about 2025, right? Particularly for Nigeria, because there's a new grant starting. In fact, next week in Abuja, we're going to have a second kickoff roundtable meeting with the World Bank and Rural Electrification Agency. There's $750 million earmarked for solar energy in Nigeria across the different segments that I've mentioned. And we can't wait to get started. Right, so I see 2025 a year of improved installations, also focusing on more of the rural hinterlands, the hard-to-get-to places. The whole program is dimensioned to give a higher subsidy the further out you go. So the more, if you like, urbanized you are, the less subsidy you get. So it's dimensioned that way to enhance, the 133 million really being touched. Right.
We're trying to save that. We're trying to reduce that.
Exactly.
Number.
We need to crunch it down.
Crunch it down as much as we can. Thank you so much.
So that's 2025 is a great year.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. It was great having you, Mr. Ernest.
Thank you very much.
Akinlola is the Managing Director of B-Box Nigeria.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming on today.
Bye.
All right, we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, more conversations about not renewables at this time, more of the dirty alternatives. That's in a moment. Just stay with us.